losing off of that one freak late game team fight.
Trace must be doing all the shot calling then, with how conservatively they've been playing. But here we go, pick and ban on your screen. Nidalee going to be the first thing taken away, and that's a prime pick for both of these junglers, and that's really going to be the match point. We saw Pilot and Prey. For me, it's going to be Winged versus Peanut, because Winged has been a shining light on the side of JinAir in these games that they've won. He has absolutely gone off. The Thunderlord's Graves are a really big pickup for him. So going up against Peanut, who is always this very aggressive jungler, I'm excited to see this matchup.
Yeah, me too, and I'm glad you brought that up because the stat lines for these two players in terms of KDA couldn't be any different. Winged, 22 kills, 17 deaths, 69 assists. Peanut, 48 kills, 36 deaths, 100 assists. So basically, Peanut's getting twice as many kills, almost twice as well, about a 50% more assists, but also dying twice as much as his counterpart, and that really is this matchup in a nutshell as we see the bans go through. Shen actually banned by the Tigers, as well as the Trundle, and the
Sivir and Rise to follow, which leaves Vladimir for the first pickup on the side of JinAir. Very quickly answered, though, by the Karma and Elise snatch up. So Sivir off the table, they still want that AoE move speed buff. So whether or not that's going to be for Koro or Gorilla, we'll find out in just a little bit.
Yeah, also important to take the Karma away when that first pick Vladimir comes through, because you don't want to buff up the speed of the Vladimir, help him get him into your backlines anymore. So the denial pick, obviously Karma is a first round worthy draft pick right now, but even more so when you're going to be going up against the Vlad. The Shen ban is interesting. Obviously, the Tigers are concerned that Trace is just going to start to play around that Shen. And if there was one team that I'd say really would want Shen, it is JinAir, because they like playing with multiple globals. They like playing around a lot of late game minion wave manipulation and drawing teleports out, and it's a perfect champion to do that with.
I would have agreed with you until I saw that game against MVP, but look at this. We saw the attempted counter pick just the other day. Renekton coming out into the Aurelia. We saw this tried against, somebody tried this against Someday, of all people to try to play Renekton against. You don't do it against Someday, but Smeb is going to bring it out, and we also get praised Jin.
Yeah, that's this is going to be the third Renekton I believe we've seen this season. We have yet to see a Renekton win.
Yeah,
but
it's the new Fiora.
It's the new Fiora. Well, Jin actually will be able to help engage for the Renekton, so at least he's going to have more single target threat. ROX Tigers looking to create a pick composition here with the Elise, the Renekton, and the Jin. Lots of single target stun, single target CC with the speed boost from the Karma. We saw KT play a pretty good Jin composition, long range. Now they did build the Yomu's Ghostblade into Duskblade of Drekthar on the Jin in that game, and it looks like that might be a good pickup again.
Yep. Well, here we go. It's going to be Ashe coming out for Pilot. Playing this one into Prey. He knows that champion pretty well. It's going to be backed up by Che on the Braum, however. So good amount of protection.
Yeah, problem for JinAir is that their only form of primary engage is going to be the Ashe arrow, and if that misses, they've got a great composition for kiting, and at least they have the Aurelia into the relatively low mobility Jin, but they may have some issues actually trying to get into the backline with Jin's range with Curtain Call. So this is a chance for the ROX Tigers to really create something that can kite outright here, and that is a very good answer.
Okay, yep. Well, have somebody jump on your Jin, just pocket heal him till the end of time. It's going to be Soraka for Gorilla. And then that will leave Karma in the mid lane for Koro. So Karma versus Vladimir.
Now the Soraka against these sort of mid-range mages like Rise or Vladimir, Soraka is extremely good at kiting. And that should be quite helpful when playing up against Kuzan's Vlad. They recognize that there really is a lack of engage here, and if they can just sustain out. Now the problem for the Tigers is pretty low damage here. In the late game, you're looking at what is probably going to be somewhat of a glass cannon Renekton build with what we saw earlier was a Tiamat into a Black Cleaver against KT in this particular matchup. So you're trying to really bully that Aurelia around. So this game's going to be about Peanut and what he can get done early in terms of side lane ganks. They're really going to need this Elise to do a lot of work, because in the late game, the damage from JinAir is going to be way higher than the damage that the Tigers have to put out. Also on Prey, to stay very, very safe and very alive. Of course, Gorilla on that Soraka will be helping with that mission, but he's going to be incredibly responsible for the majority of this team's damage should it actually come to team fighting. And he's going to have to kite very well against what JinAir is throwing at him.
Well, Peanut needing to be aggressive. I think that they can do that. I'm ready for the Proto Belt to come back out. I've been waiting. Every time I see it, it just gets me excited. So now with Peanut, the Pioneer, come back in with the Elise. We'll see if he picks it up. JinAir versus Tigers, game 1. Let's get straight into it. All right, Ocean Drake to kick us off for today.
Indeed.
And both teams having pretty equal showings in the audience. Lots of fan signs out here for Prey. It says Pray Forever.
I don't know if I want to pray forever.
I'm saying, do they want to pray forever, or do they want Prey on ESC ever? I can't tell which they're trying to promote here. I think he's pretty comfortable on ROX. I don't know if he's gonna make any team swaps.
Yeah, everybody has.
It's not even the off season, guys.
No, it's not at all. No trading right now. Yeah, I can't read the bottom of it from this distance, unfortunately. It's probably an anniversary of his play, but I can't. I could read the green if I could actually see it, but I can't see it.
Has he been playing for 4 years?
Yep, probably would be the answer to that question, considering that his first championship win was in the 2012-2013 winter season.
Well, I think we solved the mystery.
Mystery solved. Good job, Detective Achilleos.
We need to quit casting, just open up our own detective agency.
League
be
of
a couple
Legends
PIs.
I'd be really good at that. You know, I love those old noir films.
Yeah, so we would just like dress up like we're in a noir movie and smoke cigars all day, and
I am totally down with
not
that.
have any customers because no one speaks English here, so they won't know how to approach us.
I would totally be down. Totally be down for that. I have serious Humphrey Bogart fantasies.
Oh, Humphrey Bogart.
Also, Dames of Distress. Everything about film noir is just great. Love the Maltese Falcon.
Oh, yeah, I had to watch that in my film class, and I was just, man, I love this movie.
Love the big sleep. So good.
We had to do a, oh, I forget what it's called, but basically you have to analyze every single cut, and you have to like write down every little detail about a scene, and we did one from the Maltese Falcon. And my notes were very in-depth. I got an A+ on that one.
Nice. Good job.
There we go. We can get the fan signs.
Yeah, it's his 4-year anniversary.
Okay, well, congratulations, Prey. Hopefully your anniversary is met with a win over JinAir. No one wants to lose on their anniversary.
But at least the ROX Tigers, they had a slow start to this season. Some interesting compositions against SKT caused kind of a blowout that matchup with a very kiteable flat Swain into the Ezreal Anivia that SKT sort of baited them into. They picked the exact same composition again.
We could just be having things just change back to sort of how they were, because last split it was ROX came out swinging and SKT was very slow. Now is ROX is very slow and SKT came out swinging and now they're losing. So maybe ROX is just going to shift back into that first place spot and then lose to SK Telecom in the summer finals. And,
yep,
you know,
that's how it
everything
works.
will be as it was.
I've lost all hope for any other team winning this league at this point.
Well, we'll see how SK Telecom continues. In the meantime, though, just going to be that tower swap going on the top and bottom sides.
Indeed. Nothing strange happening yet. Kuro getting the better of this matchup early on with that poke, and Kuzan still needing to get a few more levels in his queue, helping out with that heal, but looks like we are just going to see standard as standard could be. In fact, everything matched, although Gorilla is hanging back for quite some time, so they're going to know he's not going into lane right now. That's going to give Trace a little bit more time on this Aurelia.
Yeah, can pick up a couple extra CS and try to keep matched with Smeb, who at the moment is just a very slight lead, but you mentioned him going glass cannon. Went straight for the Doran's Blade to start things off. So not looking for any defensive items such as a Doran shield, which has been growing in popularity.
Yeah. Not anything too terribly aggressive yet bought, besides the Doran's Blade. See what he goes for in the back. And he's not going to be able to get into the lane that he wants to, presumably, against that Aurelia. So the lane swap should really be working here in JinAir's favor, depending on whether they lose this first Drake or not. Kuro going to be teleporting right back to the mid lane.
Yep, just doesn't want to miss that. We'll pick up the CS, and it's going to be a little bit further behind, but going for that Chalice. Once he can get some MR in there, the extra that I'll get from the Athenes, that'll really help him sustain through that poke. It'll really help out his shields.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about the Soraka pick here for the Tigers is that you have that Equinox, so you get the silence down onto the Vladimir, which is very important. And also, I guess if you get lucky, the Aurelia too. But for the same reasons that Soraka is a very strong pick against Ryze, we're going to see Gorilla be playing the Soraka as a very strong pick into the Vladimir. Nobody's really tried this yet, but the same logic should apply in that the sustain against the constant DPS should give you a lot of ability to survive, because it's less about burst with Vladimir and with the Ryze and more about just the sustained damage, which obviously Soraka is very good at dealing with. And then also the silence field so that they can't just continuously cast spells and make your life miserable. But depending on how Peanut builds this game, which given the composition, he's probably going to have to build somewhat aggressively, because otherwise they're not going to have a lot of damage in the late game, means that Gorilla's survival and his healing output is going to be quite important to how ROX Tigers plays team fights.
Oh, here we go. Let's make it interesting. So we'll have those towers traded out. And then will be the first dragon, the Ocean Drake, going over to the side of the Tigers. Infernal to follow. So we'll keep our eye on that one when we hit about 12.5 minutes. Meanwhile, JinAir just going to answer with his Rift Herald. Looks like Trace might be picking up the buff for himself. That added little pushing power.
Yeah, it's going to give Smeb a little bit more time in the lane to farm, however, especially since Braum was with the Herald take right there. And it's just going to be a Renekton versus Ashe. So this should actually be a nice little advantage that Smeb will be able to get, at least in the lane.
Yeah.
Looks like he's building into Phage.
Could be.
Yeah,
the Phage.
We'll see what he goes for here. It's intriguing. Again, it was the Tiamat into the Black Cleaver last time around. We saw this, but we're tracking this matchup because it is a pretty new one, and it seems to be a consensus counter pick among some of the teams in this league. But you have to get that 1v1 because Aurelia is just so much more relevant than Renekton in the late game. You're basically just playing for a laning phase here and a dominant laning phase victory.
Yeah. Well, he's finally got it. Is pushed up towards that tier 2. Has decent coverage, though, through that jungle. You can see the Raptors and Red Camp have been warded by ROX. So he will be decently safe. How long he wants to stick around down here, that's a big question. Looks like it's not going to be for very long as he starts to recall.
Yeah, looks like it will be the Youmuu's first from Prey, too. I do think that probably the Youmuu's Duskblade build is going to be the best with this composition because of how far Prey is going to have to stand back. And it was very effective for Arrow when they were playing a pick comp with the Jhin.
Okay. Here, this is what I wasn't sure about it. So it wasn't the Phage. He did build the Phage at first and has the items to actually get that for the Black Cleaver, but he will be going for a Titanic Hydra, it looks like.
Yeah, interesting. Curious that he wouldn't actually start with the Tiamat first. I guess that says that he probably wants to manipulate the wave a little bit more right now and not auto push. So he's probably looking for some sort of item timing that he knows is going to be powerful against this Aurelia and to deny as much CS as he can. So it may be a strategy to starve her out. Peanut
really aggressive for him.
Yeah, but they've got so many people there.
He's able to get the red buff though, and they can't jump on him. Yeah. So nicely played by Peanut.
Yeah, he was playing aggressively, but again, ROX looking much more like they did in the spring season, which is they drop all the people down into that bottom side after putting the pressure in the top. So Peanut had a lot of backup.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be the curtain call coming out. Shay able to block out these bullets. So only going to land a couple, but this gives the rest of ROX to get some precious damage in onto that tower. Wing going to throw out collateral damage just to try to clear the wave, but still a bunch of minions, so they will get that chip damage in. So tier 1 going down to about half.
And this is how KT was playing the Jhin. Just go ahead, drop the curtain call every time you have that cooldown. As a zoning tool, you're going to deny a lot of CS as there was a large wave built up in the mid lane, and you're going to be able to just, as you said, chip it down slowly over time. And they had bought themselves time by pushing up both the side waves, so they do get a little bit of something for their efforts, and they can just continue this aggression.
Yep. Still going to be really close going into this, so no real fights coming out outside of that little scuffle in the mid. Pilot's fishing around, might be trying to find some target for this arrow, but no one nearby.
There's a lot of options here for what the ROX Tigers can do. They have multiple routes from Jhin and from Soraka and from Karma, so the chain CC is going to be quite strong if they ever catch somebody out. And they can do it from quite a distance as well. JinAir just going to make the opposite push as they get the side wave pressure going. However, Q pretty good at clearing out those minion waves.
Yeah, and that's going to give enough time for Peanut to arrive nearby. Don't really want to dive. Well, Gorilla doesn't have the ultimate yet, so I guess it wouldn't be able to rely on that wish to keep Kuro alive, but still diving with a Soraka nearby. Not necessarily the greatest idea. Cocoon going to go wide. Looks like they're just going to clear out this minion wave, and turrets are going to be pretty equal on HP.
Yeah, they're looking for a tier 2 right now. Just pretty smooth rotation here from JinAir. Going to force Smeb to go in, make a trade with the Ruthless Predator, and try and get some of the AoE down onto the minion wave. So no real shots here going over for JinAir.
Yep.
They do have to be careful, though. Remember that ROX is running a double TP composition. Meanwhile, only a single teleport on the side of JinAir. So a collapse could happen, but not going to pull the trigger right now. Instead, Wing just doing a great job of bouncing between the lanes and getting the chip damage down on the turrets.
Yep. That whole time, though, we had Pilot just roaming back and forth, trying to get damage in onto the turrets. They couldn't get onto the tier 2, and that allowed for Prey to just sit up top and farm. He completes the Youmuu's and has a 15 CS lead. So Youmuu's Ghostblade going up against a BF sword, a longsword Call Ash.
And this is the point where the Tigers have actually been setting up a freeze here in the top side. So that's how we saw Prey get that CS advantage. And they just donate a rather large wave to Smeb right now.
Yeah.
Does clear it out pretty quickly, so they're not interested in just holding it there and trying to make a play onto Trace. Instead, after all that chip damage come in, they do have to be worried a little bit about that mid lane tier 1 turret. So they are just going to push out once again so that JinAir can't just group his 5 in the mid lane for free. And they also want to be making a play on this Drake, one would think.
Almost certainly. We can see the wards already coming down from both sides. ROX going to have the heads up on the river ward. Still one in the back of the pit there for JinAir. So if this gets started up or even swept out, they'll spot it. Looks like Peanut wants to give that blue buff over to Kuro first. More mantra for the potentially inevitable team fight.
Yeah, lots of pink wards. Saw a pretty nice shot there from the ROX Tigers. 3 pink wards go down, and they just get the control right now. They don't have enough real pressure on the map right now to start this Drake very safely. They go for it, but they have to be worried about this bottom side, and a push in the bottom lane would be a typical way you would start to get control here and really safely do this Drake.
Their pink doesn't have vision of that ward in the back of the pit, so might think that it's clear at the moment. Not sure if they saw that one go down while they were walking past.
I see Trace playing very respectfully around this Renekton right now.
See, both these top laners have a way to stop one another. The equilibrium strike, the W there from Smeb. Go ahead, start this Drake up. It's already down to half HP. TP's not yet been burned. Smeb waiting in the brush, trying to see if he needs to come in on it. Will come through straight onto that big board. Gorilla taking a ton of damage, is able to get out of there with a flash. Meanwhile, Che gets chunked out. Kuzan goes in a little bit too deep, has to use the Sanguine Pool to get himself the safety, and that's going to be the current call from Bray. Just getting some shots in onto Trace. Not really whittling anybody down far enough. The Dragon's going to reset. Smeb goes back in to start this one up. JinAir is still hovering in from that bottom side, 4 members, and then Kuzan split up top. Could just be an attempted smite war by Wings. Peanut's really low in the pit. They jump straight on a Wing. They blow him up. Nice first kill there for Prey. Smeb up the front line is going to get stunned by that equilibrium strike. Trying to get a chase on into Kuzan or Che, who are both chunked out. The tether comes through, flash away from the Vladimir. Will keep him safe, but the speed up shield comes through from Smeb. Gets on the Trace, a flash forward straight into the
Nice
Monster Q, into the
prediction.
W. Nicely played by ROX Tigers. They find themselves a second kill, and an Infernal Drake should follow very soon.
That was a great prediction on the Q there from Kuro of the flash of Trace. And they follow it up immediately, and that is the right way to fight that if you're the ROX Tigers. Remember, they are a pick composition at its core. They're looking, oops, Vina couldn't actually rappel over. Got pulled out a little bit too far. But that chain CC is what they're looking for. Being able to consistently hit the roots and the cocoons in this composition is clutch. So turning away from that Drake is the right call. They want to go for this. Remember, they have the speed from the Karma also. So they see Pilot moving up, Wing in the front line right now, and he is just going to get absolutely wrecked. I mean, flash right on top of him, great turn, straight into the Ruthless Predator stun, and then here's the pursuit. So they're going to follow through the brush, get us a little bit more speed onto this Karma. Root, it has to be flashed by Kuzan, unless that tether completes, and then this is just a great prediction right here. And they're going to land, of course, the Jin route right after because of the damage from Karma, allowing him to be caught out. And that is just a very nice play from the ROX Tigers. And
yeah,
I think the main difference that we've seen this game, if we look at the statistics from the ROX Tigers and from JinAir this season, ROX has been great at getting gold leads. They actually, behind SKT, have the second highest gold lead of about average 715 minutes. And they also, 71% of the time in their games, are the first to take 3 turrets, right? So they've been playing around getting kills, getting turrets, but not getting Drake. They only get 48% of the dragons in their games. Meanwhile, JinAir kind of the opposite, 57% dragon control, but much lower priority on getting those first 3 turrets down. As we see another Infernal Drake.
Well, they're going to have to up that priority if they want to net those. Maybe there's just been all Cloud Drakes in Tigers games, and that's why they're not getting them.
No, I think the real issue for the Tigers is that they were playing the game like it was the spring season, if that makes sense. So see the turrets go down. In fact, in this game, it's going to be reversed, in fact.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we're going to have a TP coming through from Kuro. Yes, Meb's on the other side. Turret's not low enough to really dive in. So they will just back off of that. So TP down here for Kuro.
Maybe a little bit optimistic considering the turret already died. Nope, that was a bit optimistic too. So as I was saying, one thing that I think has been shifting for the ROX Tigers is that what did they used to do last season? When Dragon wasn't really important, they used to dive early and often, pick up the kills, and snowball out of a very aggressive early game. Of course, with Peanut and the enemy jungler in the enemy jungler's phase, they were very quick at collapsing with double TP. That was sort of their signature playstyle. But that has betrayed them, I think, this season, where their turret priority remains, but with such a poor dragon control, they haven't been able to really capitalize on the power of the Elemental Drake. But their early skirmishing skills remain, as we saw in that last little team fight. So they just need to transition their focus of play away from the turrets and towards that dragon pit. And I think they can use many of the same skills that they've honed with this early aggression, but do it in a more productive way, considering the change in objective priority.
Well, so far so good. These guys already having 2 dragons in their pocket. Third one could very well follow. JinAir are in a good position, however. They answered that mid-tier 1 tower. Gives them a little bit of an advantage and ties up the gold. So if it comes down to a fight around Dragon, they will be well enough equipped to fight it out.
Yeah, I guess I would be worried if I was JinAir, just because the Karma and the Jin are going to be really strong right now. And you still need more time for this Vladimir to really come online, for the Graves to really come online. Until you hit that late game, the amount of crowd control and movement on the ROX Tigers is going to trump JinAir's ability to really team fight. And again, they are really reliant on Pilot's arrows. And if one of those misses, there's not a great way for them to even engage upon the Tigers.
Well, just going to be farming up, taking things a little bit slowly now, as we still have 2 minutes before that dragon comes up. You can see the Triforce has been completed for Trace. Black Cleaver, first item for Smeb, so we'll be moving towards that Tiamat now. one would assume.
Yeah, Kuro doesn't care about being up top here at that TP, considering objectives really able to be taken, and not going to see a tier 2 turret taken in the near future, most likely. Prey, of course, reassigned to that mid lane, considering he has the lower amount of mobility.
Wow.
Yeah, well, he's got
just
Youmu's and another Dirk. That's what happens at this point in the game. That's one of the reasons why we've been seeing those increasing Jin picks from teams like JinAir, even SK Telecom. Or KT, rather.
Yeah.
And SKT. I didn't mean Jin.
Well, he does a lot of damage, and another Infernal Drake will help him do even more. 16% sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds pretty good to Prey, too, I'm sure. JinAir would like to avoid that fate. If they can get the next Drake, they may be able just to pull this into a late-game scenario where they have a much better ability to team fight in terms of consistent damage.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Second item outside of tier 2 boots and the jungle completion. It's the Proto Belt.
It's back, baby.
I'm ready.
I love Peanut's Proto Belt engages. They are fantastic. We saw Ambition build it, but it wasn't second item. So I'm ready for this one.
I love Peanut's insert thing that has to do with League of Legends. And I probably care about it very much.
Do you love Peanut's wards? I don't love those, and I love wards.
I love his wards because he is the ward. That's all you need.
God.
Kuzan, wow, look at that chain CC. Didn't even have a chance to go into the Sanguine Pool. Used Ghost too, so he's going to lose that. Kuzan goes down. That should be the turret falling in mid. What an opening for ROX. And that should be an Infernal Drake following up here for them.
And what do you even do? You have to flash the first CC, otherwise it just lasts forever. That's what we were talking about. Tigers just running this composition absolutely beautifully, but Kuzan walking up, getting a little bold, and Vladimir has to do that if he wants to wave clear. So Tigers easily able to get picks as they siege these objectives.
I think you start praying forever if you're JinAir.
To pray forever?
Yeah.
That's pray to pray, maybe.
They probably don't have. They probably don't have that long. It won't take forever. Maybe like 15 more minutes at this rate. ROX should be able to run away with it. I mean, they're still keeping pretty close as far as the gold goes. Trace has inched ahead a little bit in that top lane CS matchup, as has Winged. So that is keeping them within 1.2 thousand gold, but still, these Infernal Drakes are really gonna hurt the next time these guys clash.
Yeah, will be the Duskblade too for Prey.
Yep.
Going for that with the Dirk and the BF sword.
I love both of these builds.
I think this Jin build is fantastic, but yes, ROX Tigers playing for a big early game here, and they're getting it so far, but they don't have enough gold lead to be really out of the woods. However, the fact if they get 2 Infernal Drakes in a row, that is what is going to make or break this game for them. JinAir, they've got to do something on this next Drake attempt.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
go for the Hail Mary. The second item, Rabadon's Death Cap there for Kuro. Feeling pretty aggressive, wants to maximize that AP from the Infernal Drakes. So it says, why not?
it's a really low kill game for the ROX Tigers.
Yeah, well, especially compared to the games that we saw just the other day with KT.
That was a little skirmish. That actually having a
Oh,
tough
yeah,
time.
they're just gonna
Does
go
have to
ahead.
use his Dominus.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and use the teleport flash over the wall though from Trace. Smeb really winning out that exchange. Black Cleaver doing some work. And now they should be able to get a very strong push onto that tier 2 and bot. The rest of JinAir is roaming down, gonna try to answer, but that would also make the mid lane very susceptible to getting jumped on.
So Youmu's right there. It's a bit optimistic, I think, from Prey.
He's just been throwing it out there every now and then.
It's on a low cooldown. So
Yeah.
that
Well, they
impact.
get a bit of damage in there. Glacial Fisher comes out. Smeb dashes out, jukes out the arrow. Nice flash from Kuro. Will deny that. Meanwhile, Wing's getting jumped on the Proto Belt. Not going to be able to confirm the kill. But Smeb goes forward and says, I got you, buddy. I'll take him out. Tether comes through. Kuzan flashes out of range. That's going to be the tier 2 going down in the bottom side. And ROX are just really starting to stretch his lead. Nice W stun onto Pilot, not able to finalize the kill, however. He takes a bunch of damage, has to use flash and heal, and this might actually be an inhibitor tower going down before 25 minutes.
Well, 2 Infernal Drakes early, Achilleos, with this kind of pick composition, and the damage is absolutely massive, particularly with the way they've itemized.
Smab dashes forward, finds Shay, locks him up straight into Cocoon. He goes down. That's going to be the inhibitor following here. Winged coming up in 5 seconds, but I don't think he can do a damn thing with his respawn. That's going to be ROX exiting out of the base. Nice pickups from these guys. And just the chain CC is on point for the Tigers right now.
Yeah, and they built all damage. So this was going to go one of 2 ways, Achilleos, either really well or really badly for them. But they've been able to get the picks and to play aggressively around this itemization to just bully out their opponents. Peanut is just going to get wreck Winged right here, basically. Wing does get out, but not for long. Flash W by Smeb in order to actually take him down, and then pursuing after the turret.
I think that Protobelt actually would have killed him if Pilot didn't heal right there.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Dang it, Pilot. I want to see somebody die with a Protobelt.
Protobelt execution.
Just the snipe, the fadeaway Protobelt.
Was a good Protobelt.
Yep, oh, arrows coming out. They find Gorilla, but they can't close that distance at times, so it's like, all right.
Well, they also didn't have wards, so even though they hit him, they had no idea, for example, where that Renekton was, where the Karma is.
Yeah.
So walking in there may not be the very best idea if you are JinAir.
Wow.
You can see Peanut.
Oh, he's going to get rooted. Curtain call comes down. It's high noon. Trace going to take one to the face, but Peanut still finalizes the kill. Looks like he will be able to exit safely as Koro roams up from the bottom. And yeah, if you're JinAir, you just literally can't go anywhere that's not your base right now.
The execution is just wonderful here from the Tigers, and it's actually a Sterix Gauge.
Oh, wow.
An item we haven't seen.
Okay.
Some of the changes, really, but
screw it. I don't need it to you. I have to push
he's going to get twice as big with Dominus and Sterix Gauge, I guess. He's going for the giant Croc build.
Let me see the dead bands next. No, but tier 2 in mid. Gonna get taken down very quickly. Peanut just throwing out the Protobelt. Gets the catch onto Jay with a Cocoon. Gonna take a bit of damage there and be able to back off.
This composition had to work early for the ROX Tigers, and they made it work. They fought around the Drakes. They got all 6 kills in this game. And they are looking much more like the Tigers that we saw last season.
Wow.
Trace desperately trying to clear out the super minions in the bottom lane.
Yep. Well, ROX grouping up in the jungle, going to take away that blue buff. So Peanut and Koro both have one. Looks like they might. Do they just even start this one? They have the super creeps pushing in the bottom. They already have an Nexus turret down. I think they can go ahead and start this.
There's a ward in there. This is actually dangerous considering the low tankiness of the Tigers members. They're going to have to turn on this instantly.
Oh, well, Smeb's already going to get ready. Pops that Dominus, trying to close the gap, get in. That's going to be the curtain call coming up. Jay going to take the first couple ones. They stun him up. He flashes over the wall. Cocoon going to go wide. Kuzan's pinching up on the back side.
I love the way the Tigers have been playing around these objectives, Achilleos. Just the way they played around that first Drake, instantly turning. Again here. Yes, they're very far ahead in this game, but they don't actually try and rush the Baron. They know that they have to turn instantaneously, that their power is in their damage, their burst, and their CC. Yeah, just go for it.
There's super creeps on the last Nexus Tower right now. They find Wing, and they just blow him up yet again. So that's going to confirm this Baron for them 100%. Meanwhile, JinAir is losing the vestiges of their base that are still standing. So Baron going over to ROX in 28 minutes, 7-0. Those 3 turrets, 2 of them from the lane swap, the only thing that JinAir has been able to acquire.
Yeah, and this has been really a masterclass from the Tigers in early game aggression and objective control, because they have played this comp about as perfectly as you could want and forced the fights, done everything they could. Whoa, my voice.
Oh, you need some water, my friend.
That I do. Hold on.
Well, Monty's dying, but it's okay. Randuin's Omen completed here for Smeb, because why not? Now the Spirit Visage will finally come through for him. Rylai's for Peanut, just wants that extra tankiness. And Kuro is dealing all of the damage with the newly added Void Staff.
And guess what? More armor penetration for Prey. Bob Malmortius. He is just going to be cutting through the members of JinAir right now. They don't have any armor to speak of. He's basically doing true damage at this point.
Yep. And now to make matters worse, ROX have a second Ocean Drake, so they have infinite sustain, so they can just sit outside of your base, poke you down forever, and just whittle away at your remaining structures.
And Soraka's so amazing with the Ocean Drake too, because of course the cost of her healing the Astral Transfusion is her own max health. So if she's not actually participating in these fights, she can drop back and is really not punished for spending her own health to heal up her teammates.
Very true. I don't even know if Gorilla has cast Wish once, because he hasn't.
I haven't seen it.
He hasn't really needed it, so I think he's actually not done it. Gorilla going to get jumped on, takes a bunch of damage, but look at that shield coming out. They're going to find Pilot right off the bat. Kuzan trying to equalize something with a trade, but he's just not able to find it. Meanwhile, Trace goes down. A kill picked up here for Prey. Kuzan exiting through his own jungle. They try to get onto Wing. They will be able to lock him up. Look at the damage from the Renekton. They take him out. It's just going to be the Braum and Vladimir left to try to defend this base, but it's a hopeless task as the last Nexus turret goes down, and in 30.5 minutes, ROX Tigers come swinging out the gate 10-0 over top of JinAir. Might have to make that 11. We'll give it a sec. 11-1 over JinAir GreenWings.
And this looks much more like the ROX Tigers that we saw in the spring season.
Yes, it does.
Aggressive, confident in their ability to push early game advantages, playing well around objectives, not playing over aggressively, but man, their Drake and Baron control was nearly flawless in this game. Very well done by them. And against a top of the table team, remember the winner of this best of 3 will be first place in this league. So it's you're kind of playing for a lot, not all the marbles, not the end of the season, but certainly a lot of the marbles right now as we finish up our first round robin.
Really good stuff from ROX Tigers. Big question is, can they keep it up going into the second game, or will JinAir be able to find their bearings and try to fire back? We've seen these guys take down SK Telecom. We've also seen them lose to MVP, so it's just a big toss-up as far as whether or not they will be able to do that. We can see the damage done to champions.
I mean, Jin just basically annihilated Aurelia in that last team fight. Trace really didn't have any armor to speak of to actually, he just had a chain vest at the end of that game.
Yeah. Rough stuff, but good damage coming out there from Koro and Prey. Really utilizing that Karma early on before she starts to kind of taper off later on in the match. So very well played by ROX Tigers, and JinAir going to have to put their heads together because we've seen them falter in the big ban in game 2. We'll see how they do coming in this one.
I think they just need to focus more on wave clear. Last game that was a problem with the Aurelia and the Vladimir, who had to walk in front of the turret and could get caught out.
Yeah.
So wave clear, maybe a little bit more mobility so that they don't just get instantly CC'd and exploded. Otherwise, why not just run this composition again if you're the Tigers?
Yeah. Maybe we'll see something like a Victor here for Kuzan. And we'll see if Sivir makes it through the pick and ban. She was banned away by Tigers in that last game. So both those picks